Hey guys, it's Super Mario Galaxy the movie by Nintendo plus Illumination. Only in theaters, April 2026. Who's hyped for this thing? I know I maybe am, potentially. So yeah, this was announced in the Nintendo Direct the other day. You know what? Yeah, I'm excited. I think they got rid of "You Are Mr. Gay" in the shines. I was just looking for that. If you know the lore for "You Are Mr. Gay," the M and the R still have it, but the A doesn't. So, they messed that up. Massive L from Nintendo plus Illumination. So we don't have too much knowledge about this movie, but I thought I would speculate on what it might be and some predictions slash wish list for what I would like to see when it releases in April. For some context for my thoughts on the original film, I did like it, especially at the time. I think it was a novelty to go to a theater, hear Mario music, see Mario visuals, and those fun Nintendo references. Maybe in hindsight, less exciting. Definitely not one that's quite as fun to revisit. I think the novelty really was there in the theater. Watching it at home, it's like, yeah, it's a fine enough animated movie, I suppose, but certainly they could have done more with it and made a more compelling end product, at least in my opinion. And hey, man, maybe that's what we're getting with this Super Mario Galaxy movie. So what I like about this is it does show ambition. I think we see something similar to the Sonic the Hedgehog movies. So with the first two movies, they're pretty much just adapting those original Genesis games. But then for three, they basically, from my perspective, went, okay, what would be the most exciting next step in this series, and that would be to adapt Sonic Adventure 2. And so they did that for the next movie, and lo and behold, it was the best one, at least in my opinion. I think that's the widely held opinion, is that it's the best one. Anyhow, I feel a similar thought process may have gone on with this film, because you adapt Mario into a movie. You've proven that can be successful. It was $1 billion movie. I think the only video game movie to make $1 billion. One of the highest grossing animated films, highest grossing of that year. So very successful. Didn't review particularly well with critics, but fans liked it, and that seems to be mattered more. So, I think you have that as the proving ground, that first movie that proves the method can work to adapt a Mario game and be very successful and well liked by many people. And so then you decide, okay, what would be the most exciting Mario game to adapt next? And I think the clear answer would be Mario Galaxy. So I can see the thought process. You could do, there were rumors of it being Mario World, or you could adapt Super Mario Bros. 2 or 3. You could definitely do that, but what's the most cinematic, grand scale Mario game? I would say Mario Galaxy is a clear winner on that front. So I think that makes sense if you're just trying to be big and ambitious, which I think is a good sign for this film's prospects in terms of quality. We do, fortunately or unfortunately, have some familiar faces showing up in the cast. Your feelings on this cast may vary. Overall, I thought it was fine. A fairly inoffensive animated movie cast. Chris Pratt wasn't as bad as he might have been in that role, but it wasn't who I would have chosen either way. So let's go through some notes. I have a few predictions for how this movie could play out. In my head, since it's the most obvious thing, I see it adhering somewhat closely to that original film, at least in certain aspects. I think it'll still it'll take elements from that first movie, but then adapt them into a Mario Galaxy format, somewhat similarly to how the Sonic 3 movie did to Sonic Adventure 2. There's a lot of parallels between that and the game, but they did change quite a lot for the end result, for the end product. But I think there's going to be a lot of familiar Galaxy elements. The first of those elements I definitely think has a 100% chance of happening is Bowser Jr. Bowser Jr. had a key role in Super Mario Galaxy. He was one of the main antagonists. He was alongside Bowser for the journey, fight him in various recurring boss battles. And since the first Mario Galaxy or first Mario movie ended with Bowser being captured and put in a cage, I think you need some way of him getting out of that predicament, and his son coming to rescue him is as good as any that I could think of. So I see this playing out in my brainstem as a recreation of the opening of Mario Galaxy. I think that's a given that we're going to get a cinematic version of that invasion of Bowser. We already have seen a Bowser invasion at the beginning of the first Mario movie. So that seems logical to me. It even used, I believe, some of the Bowser airship theme. So we could see that returning to Mario Galaxy, which also uses the airship theme in its opening. Bowser Jr. perhaps breaks out his papa out of the cage, and they go off. I could see that happening. In terms of voice cast for Bowser Jr., I really don't know what direction they're going to go with that. The most annoying corporate version I could think of is Josh Gad. I don't know why my brain went there, but that's just kind of the kind of actor I could see them putting in a Bowser Jr. role. I hope that's not the case. I think you could probably do a lot better than that. I think I would probably go for someone younger, someone who has a young sounding voice, if it was up to me. So we'll see how that pans out. I don't have super high expectations for the casting of this movie, but we will see. I'd love to be proved wrong. So yeah, we got Bowser Jr. showing up with the airship armada, breaking out Papa, and I think a big question is whether or not we are going to see Peach being captured being the main driving force behind the plot of the movie. Of course, that was the case in the original Galaxy game, but they did not have that feature as prominently in the Mario movie. In the movie, it was essentially Mario's journey to rescue Luigi, and Peach was along for the journey up until the very end, where she was briefly captured. So that is a small element of the movie. So will they have that be the main conflict? I don't know. I think it's more possible here than it was with Mario 1. Mario and Peach have more of a pre-existing rapport and relationship, so I think it would be more impactful if she were to be captured at the start of this movie, since they know each other now. I don't know if that's what they're gonna do. If not, I'm not entirely sure what the main goal of the film would be. Yeah, hard to say. I don't know if you have another character be captured, if not Peach. I do think the castle will likely be ripped out of the ground again. I think that's a key visual from Galaxy that will be retained. It's a pretty cool element. Anyway, so I feel pretty strongly that that's along the lines of the opening we're going to get, is one that's not one-to-one necessarily with Mario Galaxy, but evokes it quite clearly and uses a lot of that music. I think we are going to get a lot of Galaxy music. That was a proven successful method for Mario 1 to have the game music incorporated into the soundtrack, and Mario Galaxy probably has one of the strongest Mario soundtracks, so it really is only logical to adapt that into a film format. Okay, next guarantee lock I can have is that Rosalina and her observatory are going to show up. Potentially, it could be the main form of transportation for Mario and cohorts to traverse the galaxy. I could see that being the primary spaceship. So I think that location will feature, and Rosalina will be a major character and plot element. Don't know who they would cast for that. Could be essentially any major actress. Yeah, there have been, I've heard some freaking theories, or whatever you want to call them, that they could have Rosalina be related to Peach, like maybe her mother. I don't know if all of that stems from game theory, but I really hate that idea. I think that idea is just dumb. Not every character in the Mario universe needs to be related to each other. It's kind of stranger if they are, so please don't do that. I would not appreciate it, but I mean, it is a movie, so it's a different continuity, if you want to call it that. Even still, not a fan of that conception. Other things I would not like to see. I don't really want to see much, if any, New York sequences. I think you got out the minimum amount you needed for Mario 1, having the scenes in New York. I really think for this rest of these Mario movies, for this one and any future ones, really should minimize the non-fantastical environments, just because it's not necessary to have. We know the backstory. We know he's from a more standard universe, and he goes to the Mario universe, the Mushroom Kingdom. So we know that. I don't think we need to reiterate it all that much, because it's pretty clear the games don't even really go into that at all, because it's not really all that necessary. And now that that framework has been established, I don't really need to see much more of it. Although I do really like Mario's dad being voiced by Charles Martinet. So I do hope Charles Martinet returns in at least one or two cameo roles. I think that's pretty likely to happen. He did play Mario's dad, so maybe we get a voicemail from Mario's dad at some point. I don't know. I'm not going to rule out his family showing up, but I really hope any New York element is kept to a minimum. There was a weird leak that happened. One of the things it said was that Rosalina was going to be in the movie, which is like, yeah, no duh. And the other one is that Wario was going to be in the movie, which I don't really buy this leak. It was from like a theater chain or something in Mexico, maybe. I don't necessarily buy this. I don't really. Off the face of it, I don't trust this information. You could incorporate Wario into this movie, probably in a more minor role. I doubt he would be the main villain. I would like to see Wario in a film at some point, so I mean, it could be this one. But Wario and Waluigi could bring a more surreal, slapstick, just pure goofiness element, which I would appreciate. But I don't necessarily think they fit in this movie. So I don't really buy that leak specifically, or necessarily the idea that Wario would show up for this movie, maybe a future one. And if he was in it, I'd imagine a more minor role. Yoshi should also be here based on the post-credit sequence of the first Mario movie, where Yoshi was teased a la Godzilla from the 90s. So Yoshi's going to be here. I hope they don't give him a voice, like a proper humanoid voice. I hope he sounds like an animal, as he does in the games. I think that's likely to happen. I don't think that's a character that needs to be voiced. He's always been portrayed as very animal-esque and doesn't really speak. So I don't see that happening. He obviously plays a big role in Galaxy 2, so maybe they'll incorporate some of his power-ups. I think he'll be in the movie, but I doubt he's going to be like the main story focus. Maybe Yoshi gets kidnapped. I don't know. I guess that could happen. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with Yoshi. He's going to be there. But okay, last point, and this is potentially one of the most important. I really just want 0 licensed songs in this movie. I think that's not going to I think there's going to be at least a couple. I would consider it a victory if we even got just fewer licensed songs than that first movie. But it is really egregious and just totally unnecessary. Like, do you really think the Mario movie would have made like $1 less if it didn't have licensed music? I kind of doubt it. I think people went to see it because it had Mario on the poster. People are not here for the licensed music. There's no need to have it. It's distracting, unnecessary, irritating. Probably my least favorite element of that original movie. I think people have done scene re-edits with some of the unused music that was originally in some of these scenes, like the Donkey Kong scene. That just works so much better. You don't need pop songs from like the 80s and 90s. You really just don't need it. Highly unnecessary element. I would like to see it completely eliminated if possible. And even just less would be nice. But especially with Mario Galaxy, which I feel in concept adapting is slightly more serious, slightly more grand scale. I don't associate Mario Galaxy with any licensed pop songs, so please just don't do it, man. I'm begging you. This would be a major victory if we didn't get any licensed music. But I think, seeing that we got corporate hands in this with Universal and Illumination, and they tend to do that kind of thing, and it's kind of part of the animated comedy format to have licensed music. Going back to Shrek, pioneering that with Rock Smash Mouth. So I still think it's pretty likely that we will get some licensed songs in there, but really don't want that. And hopefully, if there are, they are minimized. Okay, not too many more thoughts on this. Should be a full trailer soon. And then the movie itself is April, so not too much longer to wait. I'm looking forward to it. Honestly, just the prospect of Nintendo finally getting into movies after it was so overdue is exciting. So even if these Mario movies aren't the greatest things ever, it's a move in the right direction, in my opinion. And looking forward to seeing this and the Zelda movie. And since movies take a long time to make, I also hope we see some other Nintendo movies announced and put in the release schedule. Because don't want to wait too long for too many more of these movies. It would be good to have some more on the release schedule. I think it's pretty possible. So hopefully that happens, and we'll see what goes down in Mario Galaxy. Looking forward to that.